Dante's Inferno was a very exciting game, to say the least, in my opinion, guys. I really enjoyed this title overall. It really brought together a pretty nice package as well, from single player to multiplayer. Just a great action adventure, hack and slash type of game. Really playing, some mindless fun, but also had a pretty intriguing story, to say the least. And, I've asked the question to myself, whatever happened to Dante's Inferno? I mean, are we going to see a continuation of this title moving forward? It's been a number of years. I mean, guys, this game was released in February of 2010. So over 10 years ago was when we had Dante's Inferno. Where's Dante's Inferno 2? I want to talk about everything that we know so far about this sequel, the possibility of it. Could we see it? And what's it going to take for it to come out? And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below if you guys would love to see it in a sequel to the 2010 Dante's Inferno. So let's talk about it. So guys, I've said this many times on the YouTube channel, pretty much ad nauseum at this point, that there's two things, generally speaking, that come into play whether a game, an IP, gets a sequel or a continuation of some sort or another. Number one is, of course, sales, because at the end of the day, guys, it's all about money. So first is sales, and number two is the reception of a title as well. And you have to look at those two things to kind of dictate whether or not a sequel could potentially happen, and then you can kind of break it down from there. So Dante's Inferno, guys, this game, it received generally favorable reviews. So this, guys, is of course, the reception to Dante's Inferno was pretty good. I mean, to say the least, guys. When we look at it, this is all according to review aggregator Metacritic. While there was a substantial praise for the art style and level design, numerous critics drew unfavorable comparisons with Sony's popular God of War series, among other more fundamental criticisms, such as repetitive gameplay in the latter half of the game. Now, when we look at the review scores, guys, you got Destructoid, 9 out of 10 on PS3 as well as Xbox 360. You've got Game Informer giving it a 7 out of 10. That's pretty good. You got GameSpot, 6.5 out of 10. That's okay. Not too bad. IGN gave it a 7.5 out of 10. That's pretty good. That'll do it. And then the Daily Telegraph, 6 out of 10. Now, obviously, guys, it's pretty, favorable, right? Not too bad. Destructoid giving it a 9 out of 10 was pretty high. But really, when you look at it, guys, you're getting over, you're kind of over that 5 out of 10 mark. So you're pretty much over that. So you're like 6 and above for the most part on from review scores. So that's good enough to get a sequel, in my personal opinion. If you're at least getting, somewhere between 6 out of 10 and up, you're probably going to be in a pretty good position, because that means that the review scores, of course, they're positive, which means that people don't necessarily buy games just from the reviews, but sometimes you'll rent the game because you want to try it out because it got good, review scores. It kind of creates a buzz about the title. So number two, though, guys, is, of course, the sales and such. But it's also comes down to, was there anything in the game that would have left us kind of with that sour taste in your mouth, any type of controversy that could really hurt it moving forward? There was a controversy in 2009, October. It was announced that the game would include a PlayStation 3 trophy and an Xbox 360 achievement entitled Bad Nanny, which is awarded to players for killing monsters resembling children, supposedly the lost souls of unbaptized infants. This sparked a conflict with the International Nanny Association, in which they encouraged supporters to oppose the game. The INA claimed that the achievement is offensive to real nannies and that it also promotes real life violence. So, look, what I will say is this. This certainly, I don't think that this affected the sales in a major way, but this is bad publicity, right? Overall, it's not really great publicity. It doesn't really help your cause for the most part. I don't think it helps. I don't think it really hurts either. So the controversy, guys, certainly it's not like some of the controversies we've seen in other games, but certainly you got to kind of take that, kind of keep that in the back of your mind that that did happen in 2009. Now, as far as the legacy of this is concerned, a sequel was certainly talked about, guys, and has been talked about. So here we have it. Since the game ends in a cliffhanger with Dante reaching Mount Purgatory, it was widely speculated that a sequel based on the second poem in the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio, would enter production. Despite this, it was announced that Visceral had no plans for a sequel. In November 2011, Joshua Rubin announced that he had been hired as a writer for a video game sequel that was heavily hinted to be a sequel to Dante's Inferno. However, as of 2018, no further information of any kind regarding a sequel to Dante's Inferno has been forthcoming, and Visceral Games was closed in October of 2017. So, Visceral Games, guys, obviously were one of the developer companies under, of course, EA, and they were shut down. These were the same guys who worked on the Dead Space franchise as well. They were working on Dante's Inferno, most likely working on Dante's Inferno 2, and so that would be the biggest thing here about Dante's Inferno 2, is that Visceral Games got shut down. If EA wants to bring this title back, it would be with a new development team, and so could they do that? Absolutely, guys. And so what's one thing that we knew about Dante's Inferno 2? It was most likely going to be based on the second poem in the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio. Now, according to an article written by Padraig Cotter of Screen Rant, while the first game appeared to be the start of a new franchise, here's why Visceral Games' Dante's Inferno 2 never came together. A follow-up was heavily teased in the game's cliffhanger ending, but here's why Dante's Inferno 2 never left development hell. Developer Visceral Games first made a name for themselves in the 2000s working on licensed games James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing, and 2006's The Godfather, before breaking out with the original Dead Space. This 2008 title was an intense blend of horror and action, with players trapped on a vast spaceship and having to literally dismember creatures dubbed necromorphs to survive. EA saw Dead Space as the start of a new multimedia franchise, and it launched with tie-in comics, novels, and prequel anime movie. There was also talk of a live-action adaptation. Now, we all know, guys, what happened with Dead Space. Look, work quickly began on Dead Space 2, which arrived in 2011, but before the sequel arrived, Visceral released Dante's Inferno. This 2010 adventure reimagined the Inferno section of Dante's epic poem Divine Comedy and followed a knight who slices through all nine circles of hell to rescue lover Beatrice. The game was heavily inspired by hack-and-slash titles like God of War and gave each level of hell its own distinct and gross reimagining. So like Dead Space, Dante's Inferno also received a big marketing push complete with an anime movie, but despite being heavily teased, Dante's Inferno 2 never arrived. So obviously, guys, as we talked about, the Dante's Inferno 2 was dubbed Purgatory or Purgatorio. The 9 Circles of Hell provided Visceral Games with a nice, easy structure to follow for Dante's Inferno. Since they only adapted 1/3 of the epic poem, that also left room for sequels Purgatory and Paradise. The game ends with Dante imprisoning Lucifer and finding himself in Purgatory, though a twist reveals Lucifer has followed him in the form of a snake. So, now, as far as, from the standpoint, guys, Fede Alvarez, this is a little side note, is developing a Dante's Inferno movie. So, it was announced in 2013 that Evil Dead remake director, Fede Alvarez was tapped to helm a Dante's Inferno movie adaptation. Alvarez later spoke with Screen Rant in 2016 about his plans, revealing he never actually played the game and that it evolved into something more faithful to the original poem. Nothing has been heard about the project in recent years, so it's unknown if it's still in the pipeline. So that's something, guys, I would be excited about as well. Could you imagine Dante's Inferno 2 being released, around the same time that the Fede Alvarez adaptation of Dante's Inferno, when that movie would come to life? You have both of those things coming together. It could be something really special. In 2011, writer Joshua Rubin was linked to pen Dante's Inferno 2, but since then, very little has been heard about a sequel. Following the very mixed reception to Dead Space 3 in 2013 and the cancellation of their high-profile Star Wars game, Visceral Games was shut down by EA in 2017. That could be the key, guys, to all of this, why we haven't seen a Dante's Inferno 2, a Dead Space 4. A lot of it could come down to the closure of Visceral Games. The downfall of the Dead Space franchise, which didn't hit EA's unreasonable sales expectations, is likely the true reason Dante's Inferno 2 didn't happen. Nearly a decade since the original game was released, and the shuttering of Visceral make the odds of a sequel very bleak. Now look, if you ask me, guys, Dante's Inferno came down to a number of things. Sure, they tried to copy, God of War. So a lot of people didn't like that. Then, of course, on top of that, Visceral Games shutting down. That's huge, guys. Dead Space 3 didn't, meet the expectations of what EA expected. And so maybe they just decided to close down Visceral Games. Could EA, though, sell the IP? Could they do like a package deal where they sell Dead Space as well as Dante's Inferno to the highest bidder? It definitely could happen. We haven't heard any word on that, but Dante's Inferno 2, I believe, does need to happen. Similar to Dead Space 4, I believe Dead Space 4 should happen. I would love to see Dante's Inferno 2. I think there's something really special here, especially if the movie is still going to be coming out. You could really cross-market those two things. It could be something really special. I think they were just touching the potential of what Dante's Inferno could really be in a video game format. But let me know, guys, what do you think happened here with Dante's Inferno? And do you guys think we'll get a Dante's Inferno 2 at this point? In my personal opinion, guys, it is in a limbo state at this point. It is in a state of potential no return. It really comes down to EA, and if they would want to sell the IP or greenlight a soft reboot or whatever the case might be. I want to see Dante's Inferno. Let me know, though, do you guys want to see it? Because really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the community. Does the community want a Dante's Inferno 2? Let me know. And for more Dante's Inferno 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.